Hi guys, I'm at Trafalgar Square in central London, and as you can see, there's a protest going on behind me. Now this protest is against ULEZ, it's against the expansion of ULEZ, and initially there was one that was supposed to happen here today, organized by a Facebook group, but it was postponed. However, people have decided to come anyway, and because of the level of passion, the level of feeling about this, you can see there's a crowd, there's cheering, even cars are driving past, are taking part, they're beeping the horns. I've seen a couple of electric cars, Tesla's also taking part. There are people with placards, there are people with drums, all kinds of stuff going on here. There's people wearing Sadiq Khan face masks. It's very bizarre. The atmosphere is good, the atmosphere is jovial, but at the same time, the passions are running quite high. People are pretty upset about the whole idea, not only of the ULEZ expansion, but the fact that it's being done without really a mandate from the people. People spoke out against it. So let's go and meet a few people, let's go and talk to some of these people holding these placards and get their opinions on what today is about and what ULEZ is about, and if in any way ULEZ expansion is justified. Brown car guy. Hey there, tell me who you are and what you're doing here today.
My name is Andy Sethi. I live in Hillingdon. I'm a car enthusiast, completely mad about car like you, and I have a collection of cars, including a Tesla.
Yeah.
Despite that, I'm dead against this ULEZ thing.
Yeah.
Because although we can afford it,
Yeah.
many people can't afford it.
Yeah.
There's ones who have a car occasional use. They may have an old car, use their weekends, and to pay this kind of money, they cannot afford to pay or to change the car.
Yeah.
Well, the concept is flawed as well, as we know, is that to use environmental reasons to raise revenue should be a sin.
Yeah.
In other words, they're just using this as an excuse, and as you know, you found with the figures, I mean, it proved to be incorrect. But it's really not on, you know.
Yeah.
Brown car guy.
Right, my name's Jamie Chisholm. I'm a builder, I'm 74. I'm trying to do jobs for people at a reasonable price. I've got a transit van. Mr. Khan's going to want £100 a week for me leaving my front door. And my wife's a doctor's practice manager, works part-time. Same thing, she's going to be going to work part-time and he's going to be dipping her handbag, taking her wages. And what he's doing is ridiculous. And this lady here, I do a bit of work for her from time to time. She drives as well. She's 86, still driving. She won't be able to go to the shop.
Do you think that this is unfair in terms of cost, or do you think that this is an infringement of your human rights?
Yes, absolutely.
It's infringement
absolutely.
of your human rights.
It is. It's liberty, isn't it? It's not democratic. Yeah. And I mean, loads of people don't want it, and he's just ignored the fact about the
So
number.
you also think that because he doesn't really have a mandate to do this in terms of...
Not a mandate. No, I don't think he has. No, he thinks he has because he makes up the figures, doesn't he? But I don't think he has. No. And I mean, I think this is only just a smattering of people. They thought it was been cancelled, but when you actually talk to people, I mean, I've got my neighbours, we've all got these old cars or diesel cars, and I think a lot of people aren't still aware of how it's going to impinge on them.
So
I've got sort of medical conditions, I can't lift, so I want to do my shopping. So what's he going to say? Oh, get a taxi? I mean, you know, I can't, I use my car because I want to be independent. I may be 86, but I don't want to rely on other people. But he's making you rely, like all those people who go look after elderly parents. They'll all have to go in a home if they can't get people going.
It's having a big impact on care workers.
It's on care workers, absolutely. Yeah, well, I had a care worker for my husband. She couldn't have come and visited him. It's absolute. And then they say we're short of care workers. Well, they won't have any soon.
Thanks very much for what you're doing.
I appreciate
people like you. Thanks
you very much. Thank you.
Brown car guy.
Look who I found at the ULEZ protest. It's none less than Sadiq Khan himself, who's got a new tattoo, I see. So Sadiq, tell me, what are you doing here today?
We're here to basically promote the ULEZ and how great it is for the environment, which it really isn't.
It really isn't.
No,
Hang on, you just contradicted yourself there.
Really? I didn't know I contradict myself. Maybe I've got a habit of contradicting myself.
Let's get the mask off. Let's see who this is. Come on. Oh, hello.
Good evening. Good
Who
afternoon.
are you?
I'm Warren.
But obviously there's a lot of passion, there's a lot of interest. I've just spoken to an 83-year-old lady who felt it necessary to come here today. Do you feel that this is really something that's really gathering support? I mean, Sadiq Khan, your alter ego, says that there's no backlash.
Well, there is a backlash because what he doesn't realise is this is going to penalise and affect the normal working people. For instance, at my local school, as a mother, obviously, takes her son to school. She drives one way to go to work, husband drives the other way to go to work. That's going to cost them £25 a day as a family. They can't afford it. Simple as that. It's £500 a month. Their mortgage has gone up, their gas electric has gone up, they can't afford
council tax
£500
is going up as well,
and they can't afford it.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's good that you brought up schools, because one of the whole reasoning behind the so-called ULEZ expansion is a public health emergency. It's an emergency apparently. Now, how do you feel about that? I mean, people would say to you, it's like, well, you know, it's for the sake of school children that they're doing this.
If you look at the air quality in the outer boroughs, the air quality is good. It's always good. What Khan doesn't realise is central London is a completely different animal from the outer boroughs. Central London is always vibrant, always busy, always has transport. And yes, we'll have a certain level of pollution. So ULEZ, to an extent, I can see maybe the potential benefit in central London.
Yeah.
Still don't agree with it,
Yeah.
but anyway. The outer boroughs are a completely different animal.
Yeah.
Alpington, for instance, there's loads of fields.
Yeah.
Where I live, Sutton, Carshalton, there is loads and loads of fresh air.
Yeah.
The air quality is measured every day, it's good.
Yeah.
What Khan's also done to be very crafty is, if you drive through Tooting Bec, Balham and Clapham, he's introduced these massive wide cycle lanes.
Yeah.
So 2 big lorries or 2 big buses can't actually pass next to each other. That then causes congestion. Where he knows the bottlenecks are going to be made is where he's put his air monitors,
Yeah.
which then naturally pick up the toxins.
Yeah.
So he's purposely falsifying the figures to make it out so Joe probably think, oh yeah, the air is bad quality. You know, without being too personal, my little boy's got a respiratory condition. He was born with it, it's incurable. So I am all for clean air for my little boy to live as long as he can live.
Yeah.
My little boy goes to hospital twice a month for a checkup, once to central London for a full-on checkup.
Yeah.
And when I've spoken to the professor, who's a leading professor in that particular area, he's always said to me, the air quality is fine.
Yeah.
If the air quality wasn't fine, I would tell you because of your son's health. And they even turn around and say the air quality in outer London boroughs is fine. There's nothing wrong with it.
So you being a parent of a child who's suffering from a respiratory illness is actually the sort of person that Sadiq is claiming to be supporting with this scheme.
Yeah, well, he's not benefiting me at all, and I'm definitely not supporting him because what he's based it all on is all lies.
Brown car guy.
I see you taking some great pictures today. What's your name?
Damien Jennings.
And what are you doing here today?
I'm here to support the local people for anti-ULEZ protests about what I think is unfair. I'm a classic car guy, so
I see MG on your jacket there.
yeah, I love my MG. I belong to the MG.
Is your MG ULEZ compliant?
It is just, but I'm in no illusion that it's they're going to carve that up pretty much soon.
Yeah, yeah. The interesting thing is that we haven't spoken to anybody here about classic cars today. And this is a real bugbear of mine because there's a lot of modern classics that unfortunately fall into not being ULEZ compliant, but they're still classics.
Well, obviously I belong to the MG Car Club, and we have various models of MG. My dad has an MG, but he's a 15 plate, and he's a month out of his. So in early 2015, he'd be able to keep it, but now he's been told no, you've got to get rid of it now.
It's going to be a real loss to sort of the roadscape of London, isn't it? If we're not going to see any classics, because it brings so much joy to people, right?
That's right. And what I'm annoyed about is that the kids of today will never get to work on a car or hear that car.
But also, in a sense, celebrating our background, celebrating our culture. I mean, MG is one of the most glorious brands in British automotive history, right?
That's right. I joined the MG Car Club back in 2009, and I haven't looked back since. I love it. I'm one of the photographers for MG. I photograph all the really old classics, pre-war stuff, modern day classics, and modern cars.
We just saw earlier, I don't know if you saw, but there was some on the back of flatbeds. There were some classics that drove past, and they got such a big cheer.
Yes, I did. Yeah, like Austin's on the back of it. Yeah, I saw that. I did. I was across the street, and I did hear the people cheering for it. And it's going to be very fun for you to you're actually going to see that anymore. So it's going to be a sad day.
Thanks so much for talking to us.
No problem. Hope you get to salvage your car, your BMW.
I hope so too. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Good day.
Brown car guy.
Okay, I'm Nick Harley. Basically, originally, I'm just a car builder. I just like building cars, always have done, as long as I can remember.
When you say car builder, what sort of cars?
Well, custom cars for, any want of another word. I just like modifying cars.
Are you based here in London?
I'm in West Wickham, in Kent, and it'll affect me. I mean,
But the ULEZ expansion is going to affect you as well.
God, yeah. I mean, I don't walk a great deal. I mean, this today is just loads of painkillers to get it a day. if we don't stand up now, everything that I've spent all my life enjoying, building and that, I will not be able to use anymore. And that applies to, I don't know how many thousands of people across the country. And I don't think a lot of them have actually woken up to what is going to go on. They all think they drive old vehicles, they'll be exempt. They won't. They're going to be targeted, we know that. So everything you've worked for and you've enjoyed all your life will be taken away for absolutely no valid reason whatsoever.
Tell me this as well. There's a lot of talk about how it's going to impact businesses, and you're a business. Do you feel that it's going to be the death blow for a lot of businesses?
It has to be. I mean, personally, I know a few companies, owners of companies, they're already talking about shutting down. They've had enough. They're sick of it. You know, they work in London. A lot of them commute in. It's going to cripple them every day coming in, or their workers travelling. It'll cripple everybody. And I'm just dumbfounded that it's got this far, that anybody in government, in council, has agreed that this is in any way a good idea, because I don't see it.
And the classic car industry actually is a huge source of revenue for the UK economy, isn't it?
Of course. It will impact. I can't work it out. My brain can't cope with all the amount of people that will suffer through this. And say businesses, say car spares shops, anything, garages, they're all going to be impacted. And there is just no concern. It just does not listen to it.
There will be more protests.
Yeah. There is another one being organised now in the back. You know.
Okay, do let me know, because I know a lot of people watching will want to know about it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
tell me one more thing before we wrap up, because you sound really, really passionate about it. It's going to affect you personally. It's going to affect your business. Do you think that this is a big mental health issue for a lot of people?
I met some people the other night. All I done, I drove down to my local Wickes. I put it on our page. Come and collect some leaflets if you want to. And the first person that I met was actually next to the road next to me. Old woman. I shouldn't say that. She was younger than me. She's 70, because I'm 72. Right. So she's 70. I had never met her before in my life, and within 5 minutes she was crying her eyes out because of the state she's in. Because her family, they live outside the zone. They've got low incomes. They cannot. She's scared she won't see her family, her children, her grandchildren again. And also the female implication, because I'm amazed that a lot of women's groups haven't quite got on board with all this, because there is a young woman who's been driving quite safely, or relatively safely, in her little tin box, and all of a sudden she's stuck onto a dangerous transport system that in my area is as good as non-existent. And he is quite callously just saying, well, get on with it, that's all right, we don't really care about you. And say, for him to turn around and say everybody agrees, we don't agree.
Brown car guy.
My name's Richard Walker, and I'd just like to say that this extension has got nothing to do with environmental issues. It's purely a taxation issue. Even TfL documents show that the extension of the ULEZ will make no difference to the air quality in outer London. He's doing it to raise money because of a failing TfL, and that's the bottom line of it.
Brown car guy.
Oh my God, look at this coffee in here. This is incredible.
So, hi, I'm Kingsley Hamilton. I'm a resident. I live in London. Lived in London most of my life.
Where in London?
Wallington, near Croydon. So, this is... unfortunately, this is in loving memory of our beloved, meaningful democratic consultation. It's dead, and it's dead because it's being ignored. The democratic consultation on the ULEZ was that 60% of Londoners that responded to the consultation said no to ULEZ.
Apparently more, apparently as high as 80%.
Well, and I was just getting to that, so that was Londoners. So people from outside London, if they were counted, it was near 80%.
Also, there's stuff that's come out recently about how some of that research was manipulated. For example, the younger demographic was chosen.
Absolutely, and this is the problem. It's all spin, lies, just doctoring things to suit the narrative, and that's the problem. And also, the ULEZ itself has many flaws. For example, pre-2008 motorcycles that don't pollute very much are non-compliant. A 5-litre V8 from 2018 is compliant, and it just makes absolutely no sense at all. So if you actually look at the pollution and emissions figures, now some would argue that it's not about emissions, it's about NOx. Well, it's not called the ultra low NOx zone, it's called the ultra low emissions zone, and it's being sold as helping us to get to carbon net zero. So
it's not. It is and it isn't, because it's not so much about the climate. It's about what they say is a public health emergency. Do we have a public health emergency?
I don't think we do. I think we have a financial crisis emergency. People cannot afford to eat or heat, and people, as much as
which then becomes a public health emergency.
Absolutely, this is the thing. And Sadiq Khan saying the poorest of people don't have cars. I mean, who's he talking about? You know, people who go to work for a living, who need to use their cars, might not necessarily be able to afford to buy a new compliant car. And indeed, there are not enough compliant cars for sale to replace the ones that are not compliant. Now, you could say, well, we need a better scrappage scheme, but you've got to remember that a scrappage scheme is money that comes from the taxpayers. So is it wise to spend money on scrapping a 2014 car that's perfectly usable?
In fact, the best thing for the climate is for a car to be in service a very long time.
To use its usable life until its shelf life runs out and then be replaced naturally. Absolutely. And this is the thing, it's all very well saying we need more money for scrappage, but that money is being wasted effectively scrapping cars that, as you say, are perfectly usable. We are supposed to live in a society where we are listened to, and we've heard recently in the media that Sadiq Khan has said there is no public backlash. Well, look around you.
There's very evidently a public backlash.
Evidently a very big public backlash, absolutely.
All right, well, thanks so much for talking to us. This thing looks quite heavy, so well done.
It's fairly
Did you make it yourself?
No, I didn't. This I can't take the credit for this. So actually, this was abandoned at a Brexit rally a few years ago.
That says it all. That says it all.
I carried it for the rest of the day after it was abandoned, and I've looked after it ever since.
Awesome. Thanks so much, man. Thanks for talking to us.
Take care. Cheers.
Brown car guy.
Wow, so Sadiq Khan says there's no backlash, but I think it's very evident that there is a backlash. There's a lot of feelings, there's a lot of support, there's a lot of passion, there's a lot of reasoned, articulate argument and discussion as to why A, the expansion, the ULEZ expansion is not mandated, and B, why it's actually of no use and no benefit to society or to anybody, but it's simply a way of raising money. What do you think? I want to hear your comments, I want to hear your thoughts, put them in the comments below, and as soon as there is any announcement of another protest, I will be letting you know. So stay tuned, keep subscribing, turn on notifications. Be sure I will be letting you know all about ULEZ as we go forward.
Brown car guy.
Hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please hit the like button and share this video as well if you can. And while you're at it, check out these guys who also sponsor my content. I am deeply grateful to them because it helps me to buy new equipment, put fuel in the cars, and yes, buy a cup of coffee. You can do the same. Just go here or right here on YouTube. Just hit these three little dots down here and click on thanks. Make sure you're signed in first. My content is free, but this is how you can help me keep it that way. I may even send you a gift. Oh, by the way, watch this next.